Thank you for watching QTV. With the news, my name is Diana Sumbwe. We take a look at stories making headlines. Vice President Inonge Wina says some cooperating partners have expressed the desire to continue supporting the social cash transfer program. The Central Statistical Office says the 2020 census of population, which will gobble 820 million kwacha, will be conducted electronically. And the opposition UPND has been advised to put aside pride and participate in the Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue ZCID-led national dialogue. And now details in our news. Vice President Inonge Wina says the 2.7 million British pounds from the British government meant for the social cash transfer program alleged to have been abused was kept in a bank account because the Ministry of Community Development wanted to address the challenges in the disbursement of the funds through Zampost. In a statement to Parliament, Ms. Wina says it is not only the money from the British government that was kept in the bank account, but that government funds were also in the same account. She says after realizing the challenges in the disbursement of the funds through Zampost, the Ministry of Community Development in June 2018 decided to suspend the disbursement of the funds until an audit was conducted on how the money was being disbursed. Ms. Wina says this is how the money alleged to have been misappropriated from the British government found itself in the bank account. The Vice President has told the House that some cooperating partners have expressed the desire to continue supporting the social cash transfer program. She states that the gap left by the withdrawal of the funding by the British government to the social cash transfer will be filled by the government and other cooperating partners. Meanwhile, Ms. Wina has described the late freedom fighter Mama Chiwesa Kunda Kankasa as a courageous politician who crossed the boundaries of the ethnicity and tribe both in her personal life and in politics. Ms. Wina, who says the country has lost a politician of substance in Mama Kankasa, says she says Mama Kankasa was not only a political activist but an embodiment of women's struggle for equality of opportunities. The Vice President says Mama Kankasa was one of Zambia's political giants. The Central Statistical Office says a total of 820 million kwacha will be required to successfully undertake the 2020 population and housing census. CSO Director Goodson Sienga says the 2020 census will be conducted electronically using tablets and electronic questionnaires for acquisition of data. Mr. Sienga has explained that the 820 million kwacha will be used for procurement of the tablets, procurement of vehicles to be used, and payment of allowances, accommodation, and food for the officers who will be engaged, among others. He has, however, stated that the number of officers to be engaged to undertake the exercise has drastically reduced, considering that the process will be conducted electronically, meaning there will not be much paperwork involved. Mr. Sienga says the electronic process will also help in ensuring that the results of the collected data are released quickly, as the transfer of the data will almost be done automatically from the tablets to the central office. He has stated that the CSO has already been experimenting on the e-process using some handheld devices to ensure that the process is effective come August 2020. And Mr. Sienga has disclosed that government has, through the Treasury, so far released a total of 115.4 million kwacha for the mapping activities of the 2020 census exercise.
The budget that was proposed then was about 820 million kwacha, because the census is a very huge undertaking. We have to cover each and every person living within the boundaries of this country. And over time, censuses have changed in scope. In the past, the earlier censuses were focusing more on just counting people. But now, censuses are also used to get other information that describe the various socio-economic characteristics of the household. So for the 2020 census round, we are planning to undertake an electronic census, what is called the e-census. We'll be using handheld electronic devices such as tablets to collect the data. This will be done for both the mapping as well as the actual census enumeration, which will be done in August 2020. So for us to do that, of course, we'll have to procure vehicles to be able to deploy our staff. We have to procure the tablets, we have to pay field allowances, and that's why the amount comes to that much. But of course, with the innovation of moving to the deployment of mobile technology, that has somehow going to enable us to cut down on the cost of census undertaking. Because one, we're not going to print the questionnaires, and two, we're not going to engage people now to start entering that huge amount of questionnaires, because the information will be directed from the tablet, it will be sent to the server.
Speaker of the National Assembly has directed Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Doris Leah to issue a ministerial statement outlining the editorial policy of the Times of Zambia on the issue of languages. This follows a point of order raised by Monze Central Member of Parliament Jack Mwimbu on whether Chinese had become one of Zambia's official languages following the publication of an article in Chinese by the Times of Zambia on 9th October 2018. Ruling on the point of order, Dr. Matibini directed that the Minister of Information renders a ministerial statement to the House on Tuesday, 6th November 2018. He says, as indicated by Mr. Mwimbu in his point of order, the official language of Zambia is English, and that this is provided for in Article 258, Cap 1 of the Constitution of Zambia, which states that the official language of Zambia is English. On the other part of Mr. Mwimbu's point of order on the alleged discrimination against the people of Zambia by the Times of Zambia newspaper by publishing an article in Chinese when there has been no such publication in any local language, contrary to Article 23 of the Constitution, Dr. Matibini says Article 28 Cap 1 is clear that any person who feels that his or her fundamental rights or freedoms have been infringed may seek redress in the High Court. The Independent Churches of Zambia, ICOZ, has advised the Opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, to put aside their pride and be part of the national dialogue facilitated by the Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, ZCID. ICOZ Board Chairperson Bishop David Masupa has told QTV News that starting to debate about who should facilitate the process is a sheer waste of time. Bishop Masupa says the UPND should simply work with a committee of immaterial persons constituted by the ZCID to lead the dialogue process. He states that the dialogue process has been long overdue, thus the need to support the committee constituted by the ZCID. Bishop Mambo has emphasized that with the support from all stakeholders, the dialogue will succeed. Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Doris Leah has encouraged local broadcasting stations to make use of opportunities that have been created following Zambia's digital migration. Speaking at the Digital Broadcasting Conference in Lusaka, Ms. Leah says focus should now change from the digital migration policy to digital broadcasting policy and its subsequent laws to complete it. Ms. Leah says this because the status of broadcasting has changed, hence the need for the local broadcasting industry to move with time, as well as coming up with a new digital broadcasting regulatory framework which does not exist in Zambia.
I believe that broadcasting provides a hanging fruit for us in this country to create jobs, especially for young people. But how do we position our education sector so that it responds to the kind of skills we'll need in this sector going forward? Because it's changing very, very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. Now all I hear about is 5G. And then that provides further challenges, regulation and legislation challenges. In Zambia, for you to broadcast, you get a license from IBA. But if a mobile company can be broadcasting on the mobile phone, who is issuing that license? Is it ZICTA then? So these are the issues that we have to harmonize in the sector. And I must emphasize that today, and I'm going to commit to be here the whole day unless otherwise, that we really want to hear from you, the industry, on how we can go around these issues.
And Justice Minister Given Lubinda says there is need to formulate legislation that supports the growth of the digital broadcasting sector. Mr. Lubinda says his ministry will ensure that the legislation that will be put in place encompasses views of all players in the digital broadcasting sector.
How do you safeguard society against those who are extremely enterprising and innovative, that they end up using technology more than they should, especially in conflict with the interests of others. And I'm hoping that the people who have prepared themselves to come and talk to us about legislation around digital migration and technological advancement will do so, so that I can also send this message to my colleagues in the Ministry of Justice. Unless we prepare ourselves in advance and come up with legislation that supports the growth of this sector, and we come up with legislation that ensures that society is protected from the apparent abuse of technological advancement, we may end up in a situation where what everybody else is looking at as a blessing becomes but only a curse.
Meanwhile, signal carriage fees for local television stations by Topstar and Star Times have continued to be a matter of concern among local television station owners. They feel the fees demanded by the Topstar are not feasible in the current business environment. They have complained that they are losing out on business due to the uncertainty that has been created by Topstar and ZNBC, who are demanding exorbitant fees.
Some of the channels, Chief raised a very important question. Why are some of the channels being put on the table? We need an answer to be given. I want to believe the minister stated that she's been very clear to say from today onwards, the ministry should make decisions and then we make progress. ZNBC has come into this room today and they're telling us they need to consult further. I don't know who they're going to consult, but I think what is important for now is decisions to be made. Some of us have made decisions to be off Topstar because of some of these things that are not being resolved and decisions not being made.
With the roles of the signal distributor, and nobody has arguments that content providers must pay carriage fees to the signal distributor. The argument has been we must agree on what the cost-reflective or cost-effective carriage fees should be for us as new entrants or players in the private sector to survive. That's what his presentation was all about. The other argument is, and it's very clear, even in his presentation, free-to-air channels, what is the definition?
Minister of Health Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says government is committed to increasing the budgetary allocation towards nutrition in the coming fiscal year. In a speech read on his behalf by Permanent Secretary in charge of training, Professor Elwin Chomba, at the launch of the East and Southern Africa Nutrition Budget Commitment Report, Dr. Chilufya says government has demonstrated its commitment by increasing the budgetary allocation to the National Food and Nutrition Commission by 1 million kwacha in the 2019 national budget. He says government is aware that this is not enough compared to the size of the problem, but that it is committed to increasing this further in the coming fiscal year to enable the Commission effectively coordinate, supervise and monitor nutrition programs in the country. Dr. Chilufya adds that government will not neglect nutrition and will work with all partners and stakeholders to ensure that the problem of malnutrition is addressed in its totality.
I am reliably informed that this report covers 9 countries, including Zambia. I'm also informed that the aim of the report is to help civil society in each of the 9 countries to engage their respective governments on the need to increase budgetary allocation to nutrition. So this is an engagement to remind us where we are and then make us reflect on how we can commit more to this nutrition budget. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Food and Nutrition Sector Strategic Plan 2013 to 2022 is a second multi-sector 5-year plan, which is a response to addressing nutrition issues in Zambia. The plan is needed to effectively improve the population's household food security, and nutrition in the plan is needed in line with Zambia's 7th National Development Plan.
Speaking at the same event, Care International Zambia Country Director Geraldine Zwak says the report found that majority of investment in nutrition programming in Zambia is by donors. Ms. Zwak adds that the findings of the report are aimed at helping civil society to engage government to take steps towards increasing budgetary allocations towards nutrition. She has, however, recommended that government take steps towards increasing its share of investment from its own resources, as this will place the country on a path of stability as far as investing in nutrition is concerned.
Under our 2017-2020 business plan, our core areas are maternal and child health and social protection. So it's with that focus that here today we are launching a report that seeks to encourage government to do more to end malnutrition in the country. It is not only in Zambia where nutrition is an area of interest for care. Across Southern Africa region, comprising 6 countries, Malawi, Mozambique, Madagascar, Tanzania, Zambia and Zimbabwe, CARE has 24 nutrition projects reaching 1.8 million people as at the end of June 2018. Our partners, Grata Michel Trust, also have a keen interest in nutrition, hence our partnership. Together with the regional civil society network on nutrition, we believe that investing in nutrition is investing in the future well-being of women and children who are the most affected by malnutrition. We believe that good nutrition is not just a health issue, but a development and rights issue.
And presenting the report, Care International Malawi Advocacy and Partnership Coordinator Vitumbiko Chinoko says in Zambia, stunting is too high at 40%, representing 1.22 million children under 5.
Basically, I think if you're looking at the target of reducing stunting by 20% to 20% by 2025, then I think we're still very far. And again, this is not about Zambia. This is about all of us. So this is why this challenge needs to be tackled at that level. And this is why I like the commitment that governments have put through Malabo, through the African Union, acknowledging that this is a problem of all of us, and I think we need to be tackled through very collaborative means. And all of us, really, there's no one in Southern Africa that will be proud of what they've done around nutrition. Again, I think one of the things that is also very critical, and our guest of honor mentioned, is around the health of a baby from the time of conception until they are weaned and until they grow up. One of the things we found, which is critical in that respect, is actually exclusive breastfeeding.
Government has reiterated its support to ensuring that women participate in decision-making for the benefit of the country. Officiating at the Women's Lobby National Conference for Female Councillors in Lusaka, Minister of Gender Elizabeth Piri noted with happiness that Zambia is witnessing a high level of participation of women in decision-making programs for the first time. Mrs. Piri states that President Edgar Lungu has shown the political will by adopting a considerable number of women to contest as members of parliament and councillors, as well as appointment of women to cabinet. She adds that the formation of women's groups aimed at supporting the affairs of women is also another indicator of government's willingness to improve the affairs of women. Mrs. Piri has hailed the Women's Lobby for taking a leading role in improving and helping women in leadership to deliver. And the Zambia National Women's Lobby Chairperson, Beauty Katebe, has urged women councillors to deliver according to the people's expectations. She has also reiterated the call on all political parties to give more women a chance to serve in various portfolios, both at party and national levels. Local Government Minister Vincent Mwale says the process to formulate a fire policy which will enhance firefighting and preserve life and property has reached cabinet stage. Speaking during the launch of the Bachelor of Science in Fire Engineering and Rescue Management by Aden University in Lusaka, Mr. Mwale says government is committed to improving firefighting services and the welfare of firefighters in the country. He says the fire policy is ready and is simply awaiting cabinet approval. We have more in this report.
They are often the first responders in emergency situations. Firefighters play a vital role in the communities to safeguard properties and save lives in case of fire or any emergency situation. Firefighters, more than most other professionals, need to possess a multitude of skills and talents. It is against this background that Eden University has today launched the first ever Bachelor of Science in Fire Engineering and Rescue Management in Zambia, aimed at producing first-class firefighters and fire engineers of high veracity with modern skills and competencies to meet national and international levels, as explained by Institute Executive Director Kelvin Kaunda.
We want to contribute as a university to the realization of the bigger picture which government has of developing appropriate human resource capacity for the fire department. As a university, which is Eden University, we are offering 17 scholarships to your ministry to train all the 17 chief fire officers who participated in the development of the BSc in Fire Engineering and Rescue.
The event was preceded by a march past which was officiated by Minister of Local Government, Vincent Mwale.
I always told them that this career is actually a calling. It's a calling from God. How many of us would want to put our lives at risk for the sake of saving property and other people's lives? You hear stories of a house catching fire, and you know that you're going to get in there. There's one little baby remaining in the house, or old woman, old man, they will not be able to help themselves. And you are thinking, I'm going to jump in there. Both of us may go. None of us may get out of there, or I'll be able to succeed and save that little baby. So this sector should never be overlooked anymore. And that is why our government is doing everything possible to make sure that we recognize this sector. And for the first time, we have even developed a fire policy in this country that's due to be passed by cabinet. It is ready. We've done everything. It is just that, the cabinet is overwhelmed by a lot of, laws and policies and things that have to be passed there. But it is a matter of time.
Fredin Tai is chairperson of the Fire Professionals Council of Southern Africa.
In the 21st century, like we said, we lost many people as a result of poor intervention strategy, as a result of lack of knowledge in the business, lack of support from those in charge, because there's no man who can achieve the best without adequate resources, without adequate support. So the firefighters on the ground, the chief fire officers on the ground, to achieve the mission of the department, which is to save life, protect property and the environment, they need the support from the government. They need the support from HODs and all the senior leaders to make sure that they deliver the best safe service to the communities in Zambia.
It is hoped that the launch of this program will help sustain the economic growth of the nation as it strives to become a middle-income economy by 2030 by having fire professionals with competent knowledge and skills to safeguard property and humanity.
The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, has called on the government to convene a stakeholders consultative meeting to look at the cause of examination malpractices and find a lasting solution to it. ZANEC Executive Director George Hamsunga says this will help in addressing the root causes of the exam malpractices and help preserve the confidence in the education system. In a statement welcoming the lifting of the suspension on the 2018 examinations for grades 7, 9 and 12 by the Minister of General Education, Mr. Hamsunga says the move to suspend the examinations was commendable and demonstrated the ministry's commitment to its responsibility of preserving the quality of the country's education system. He says ZANEC believes that the issue of examination malpractices is a sign of moral decay in the Zambian society. Mr. Hamsunga says it is the responsibility of parents to ensure that their children study hard and prepare adequately for their examinations. He says ZANEC also recommends that the Ministry of Finance release releases adequate funding to the Ministry of General Education for the administration of examinations. Mr. Hamsunga says ZANEC has learned that once the Examinations Council of Zambia has delivered the examination materials at district level, the District Education Board secretaries have struggled to find funds for taking examination materials to their respective schools, thereby depending on the goodwill of concerned school management to have examination materials delivered at school level. He notes that this could be the source of compromise in the securing exam papers, as unsafe modes of transport such as ox carts, canoes and bicycles are sometimes used to carry examination materials to schools. Rapula Province Minister Nixon Chilangwa says 10,000 small-scale farmers in the province are expected to benefit from the cassava bulking project by the end of 2018. Zambia Breweries, through its Outgrower scheme, is implementing the bulk cassava project, where it buys cassava from small-scale farmers from Luapula, Northern and Muchinga provinces, which is used as a key ingredient in the manufacturing of the Eagle Lager. Mr. Chilangwa says over 8,000 small-scale farmers are currently benefiting from the project, exceeding the 6,000 target for the year. He says the development proves that small-scale farmers are ready to exploit and make the most of any avenue given to them. The provincial minister says the project has encouraged small-scale farmers to grow more cassava and gain more from it. Mr. Chilangwa has since encouraged cassava farmers who are not yet part of this project to register with the implementing agencies so that they can also benefit.
Cassava, I should also thank you for reminding me. Zambia Breweries, through the Outgrower schemes, have this year already exceeded the target of 6,000 small-scale farmers. They are now at 8,000 small-scale farmers. And before the end of the year, we are going to have up to 10,000 small-scale farmers benefiting from the bulking of cassava in Luapula province. And it just proved to be a very, very successful project. It's changing lives of people. People are now able to grow more cassava. People are now to get more out of their cassava. And the Zambia Breweries are getting overwhelmed because of the response. So it also proves that once people are given an avenue, they'll be able to exploit it and be able to change and improve their lives. Cassava.
The Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, has advised people living with HIV to stick to the antiretroviral therapy, ART, as prescribed by qualified medical personnel, reacting to reports that some people living with HIV are abandoning ARVs in preference for the tamarind, which is said to be curing the virus. ZAMRA Public Relations Officer Ludwig Mwape says the general public should realize that tamarind has not been approved anywhere as being a cure for HIV. Mr. Mwape says it is wrong for people to insinuate that the tamarind fruit can cure HIV, stating that the wild fruit can only supplement other body requirements, just like all fruits do. He says with the antiretroviral therapy, there is evidence that it can prolong one's life of those living with the virus. Tamarind is a wild sourly fruit that is commonly found in the southern region of Zambia and has lately been a common household name, with most people soaking it in water and drinking the water, as it is believed to have a multi-medicinal properties.
The information that we have, of course, tamarind is a natural product. It's a natural fruit that can be used to supplement other products in the use of the body. But to say that it can actually cure HIV, that is not correct information at the moment, because it is not on paper that it can actually cure HIV and AIDS. So my emphasis is those that are taking antiretroviral drugs to continue taking this product, because that is product that has been tested and people have been assured that they can get benefit out of it.
Kafiwe's Matanda Ward Area Councillor Dorcas Mumba has appealed for the construction of a modern market in the area. Reverend Mumba tells Q News that the current market is old and surrounded by unplanned settlements. She says the current status of the market makes it difficult to control and contain outbreaks of diseases such as cholera. She says the market, which is as big as Lusaka's Soweto market, lacks proper sanitation facilities, a situation which poses a health hazard to hundreds of traders that operate in it. Reverend Mumba has since appealed to government to consider Matanda Market on the developmental programs so that it can be upgraded to a modern market.
which is housing the second largest market to Soweto market, called Kalukungu Market. The Kalukungu Market is where we have traders from all the surrounding towns. They all come here, so most of the challenges is that the market is odd. So we need a modern market, because even with we have tried as the local authorities, where garbage collection is concerned, and putting up the stores. We have put up temporary structures, and so we are lobbying for a modern market as Kafue, and because this surrounding area is called Zambia Compound. This is where we have unplanned settlements, and when we have cholera issues, it first hits ZC.
To end the news, we recap on stories making headlines. Vice President Inonge Wina says some cooperating partners have expressed their desire to continue supporting the social cash transfer program. The Central Statistical Office says that the 2020 census of population, which will gobble 820 million kwacha, will be conducted electronically. And the opposition UPND has been advised to put aside pride and participate in the Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, ZCID-led national dialogue. That ends the news. From me, Diana Sumbwe. Thank you for watching. Continue watching QTV.